I am pleasantly surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, Democrat Congresswoman LaMonica McIver is in some massive trouble. If you guys don't remember who she is our friendly neighborhood EBT Congress queen who is clearly eating good. She even has her nails did. Look at her, man. You'd think with all the money she's sucking from our tax coffers as a congresswoman, she'd buy a better belt. But yeah, she was one of the few officials in New Jersey who raided Delaney Hall, the migrant detention center, and actually assaulted a federal law enforcement agent from the Department of Homeland Security. This was that video from back in May.
We really have no idea. As mentioned, I, along with Congressman Menendez and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, was there to literally do our jobs. We are members of Congress. We are able to show up and do oversight.
Yeah, I don't know where it says in the Constitution that the role of a member in the House of Representatives is to go elbow federal law enforcement agents. Look at that. That was assault, okay?
Do oversight statutory visits, and that's what we were there for. And then all of this commotion happened. We were trying to figure out why they were so hostile, why they were so aggressive, why they were pushing and shoving.
Oh my gosh, look at her lying. Wow, she said why they were so hostile, pushing and shoving, and the video is literally her pushing and shoving.
That reminds me of a comedian. I forget his name, but he was talking about his child playing hide and seek with him. And she would go and hide, and she would hide like in plain sight. And Louis K, I believe his name was. And he's like, don't you know I can effing see you? I can see you. This is just like this congresswoman. She's going to a detention center, right? An ICE detention center where they've locked up illegal immigrants. Okay, so these people are not her constituents. She goes there to try to find out what's happening with the illegal immigrants, and she assaults the ICE agents, and they get it on camera, of course. What defense could you possibly have? What you did was illegal, as far as I'm concerned. You should be locked up and hopefully voted out. Term limits, please. All right, but let's continue. This is Renee from Kingdom Politico. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Unbelievable.
They were so aggressive, why they were pushing and shoving, and why all of this happened. And quite frankly, why was the mayor arrested? Because we're totally confused as to what was going on and why that happened. And no one gave us any answers. We asked them repeatedly. We've been in contact with both Senator Booker and Kim to get answers from Homeland about what took place. And literally, we got no information.
Yeah, so the mayor of New York got arrested because he was also doing this nonsense. But she got indicted and she filed an appeal to the judge, a judge appointed by Joe Biden. So everyone thought the judge would side with her and dismiss the case for legislative immunity using the speech and debates clause. And the judge denied her appeal. This came out yesterday, which means he has green-lighted her to be prosecuted and to go to trial. So the judge ruled that defendant's active participation in the alleged conduct removes her acts from the safe harbor of mere oversight. So she argued that what she was there to do was be a member of Congress and conduct oversight. And the judge is like, no, your conduct that is alleged by the prosecution would not indemnify you or is not covered by the speech and debates clause. It's not part of your job as a congresswoman, certainly using your elbow on federal law enforcement agents. Lawfully or unlawfully, defendant actively engaged in conduct unrelated to her oversight responsibilities and congressional duties. And she said, I'm not in this fight only for myself. I'm concerned that this decision will simply embolden the administration. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely massive. This is the final paragraph in the judge's ruling. For the foregoing reasons, it was a 41-page ruling. So this judge meant what he was saying. Judge Jamil Semper. For the foregoing reasons, defendants' motions to dismiss the indictment for selective prosecution and vindictive prosecution and for discovery and an evidentiary hearing regarding the same are denied. Defendant's motion to dismiss the indictment for legislative immunity is denied, and the
Thank God for righteousness and for common sense. Thank God for the rule of law and someone actually following it and being righteous in their conclusion. That's what law is for. No one should be able to hit someone, an ICE officer that's out there doing what they're paid to do. They're paid to keep you safe, to guard the homeland, to guard the border. That's what the Constitution says. It says to protect its citizens against invaders, domestic and international and abroad. He was fulfilling his duties. What were you doing? And why were you there? So thank God for this. But let's continue. But this is George AA that I'm doing the reaction to. I'm going to put the original video and the link in the description. Make sure you check out his stuff too. Okay?
court will reserve on the question of whether defendant is immune from prosecution for count 2 under the speech and debate clause. Wow. A 41-page order. Now, it's interesting because this judge, Jamil Semper, was appointed by Joe Biden. A Joe Biden appointee, and he's black. This is perfect. This is so good. He's a black judge ruling against a black congresswoman appointed by a black, or not a black Democrat, just a deranged Democrat. And it's interesting because when he was appointed, you know, and this news was announced in Trump world, everyone was like, he's about to throw it out. Who assigns the judges? She'll get off with a fine of $20. She'll be fine. He'll toss it out. Blah, blah, blah. And this judge just slapped the crap out of her. He just went deep with a 41-page ruling against her, saying, nah, woman, you're going to jail. Nah, the way I say woman sometimes is so condescending. He's like, nah, you're going to trial, okay? You're going to trial. You're not going to just, you know, get past this with some BS about congressional immunity. You assaulted a federal law enforcement agent, and that conduct is not in your purview, and nowhere in the Constitution does it mention you need to go elbow people who are doing their jobs at a detention facility because you don't agree with the administration doing what it's doing. So just a beautiful ruling. It's not going to be good for LaMonica. You know, she's going to have to eat jail food, and that's just not good for her. You know, she might have to look better after dropping a few pounds. She's going to be forced to eat better, man. This is great. This is an amazing ruling. Something like this needs to happen because an example needs to be set for all these congresswomen, these Democrats who do things like this. Plus, I hope this prosecution is successful. Obviously, you need to prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt, as opposed to the preponderance of the evidence that she is guilty. And the video we just saw is her assaulting. And I've been part of a jury. It's a very interesting process. You know, you go to jury duty and you think, okay, well, hundreds of people are here. There's no way I'm going to be the one that sits on a 13-person jury. There's one person that's like a backup juror. So as opposed to 12, it's 13. And you're thinking, there's no way it's going to be me. And then you go into a courtroom and they start jury selection, and one by one, people get dismissed. People make up excuses. My mother, she has Alzheimer's, and nah, your mom's fine. But she has Alzheimer's, and I take care of her. Please let me go, judge. And then one by one, everybody gets dismissed. And then you're just looking around like, it's just me and a few other people. I'm not going home. And next thing you know, you're waking up at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. to go attend a 3-day court trial about domestic violence, and you have to rule on it. And it's a complicated case because the defense, well, the prosecution actually didn't bring enough evidence to convict this thug, so we, by law, have to free him. But anyways, that's a topic for another day. I might give you guys that story on a live stream. But juries are complicated. So people might think, every jury is going to be, it's going to be Democrats, and it's just going to be like a complete vindication for her, and she's just going to get off, and they're going to give her a slap on the wrist. That could be true, but the evidence is so clear. And you just need one juror who's like, no, we saw the clip of her elbowing the federal law enforcement agent. We're not going to let that slide. That's it. All that you just need one juror, because they have to be unanimous in their decision. Or you declare a mistrial and you have to get a new jury. But in that new jury, you just need one person to see this for what it is. And guess what? The judge already dismissed it for vindictive prosecution, and he's going to give it in his jury instructions saying you cannot weigh whether this prosecution is political. That is so beautiful. They're only going to look at the facts of the case. Did she elbow and put pressure on the law enforcement agent, or did she act in self-defense? She didn't act in self-defense because that agent wasn't doing anything. He wasn't going after her in any manner with any force on his end. So it was completely unnecessary for her to do what she did, and she should be in jail. And I hope this sets an example and motivates the administration to go after more Democrats who do crimes. That's the difference between us and them. They say that Trump is seeking retribution against his political enemies. I say he's seeking justice for the crimes they already commit. What they did to Trump was make up crimes. They changed statutes just to go after Trump. They changed what it means for something to have a statute of limitations on civil cases. They literally upgraded misdemeanors to felonies just to go after Trump. And it still didn't work. So they have to make an example out of her. I'm happy we have a judge like this who is just ruling with common sense. And I hope we can get this witch to trial and put her behind bars. It would be glorious, actually. Thank you all very much for watching. God bless and goodbye.
So tell me, what do you guys think about this? I think that LaToya, whatever her name is, I think she needs to go to jail. And I think an example needs to be made of her. And not just, for vengeance sake, but because she broke the law. That's the way it's supposed to be. And the only thing that this really was TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. And she felt that she had to get with her other colleagues, the other Democrats, and go after ICE officers. Why? For what? But hopefully this will set a precedent among her colleagues and even other citizens that think it's okay to harass and beat on ICE officers, assault them. Okay, but let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that this person should go to jail? All right, and big ups to the judge for doing the right thing, for going by the law. Not all Democrats are bad. I don't believe that. I just believe that these far-reaching leftists are they're out of control, and it needs to stop. Okay, but let me know what you think. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.